So this is the introductory devotional based on the readings from the Pilgrim's Progress. The title of this one is A Journey to a Narrow Gate. As I was walking through the wilderness of this world, I came upon a certain place where there was a cave. I decided to lay down and sleep there. As I slept, I had a dream. In my dream, I saw a man dressed in rags, standing in a certain place, facing away from his home. He held a book in his hand and had a large burden on his back. He opened the book and began to read. As he read, he started to cry and tremble, finally shouting out, "What must I do?" The man went back home, trying to hide his distress from his family, but he couldn't hold it in. Eventually, he shared his feelings with his wife and children, telling them, "My dear wife and my children, I am deeply troubled because of a heavy burden I carry. Also, I have learned that this city we live in will be destroyed by fire from heaven. Lest we find a way to escape, we will all be ruined." His family was shocked. They didn't believe what he was saying and thought he was out of his mind. As it grew late, they hoped sleep would help him. So they put him to bed, but the night was just as troubling as the day for him. Instead of sleeping, he spent it crying and sighing. In the morning, they asked how he was feeling, and he replied, "Worse and worse." He tried talking to them again, but they began to ignore him and treat him harshly. They sometimes mocked him, scolded him, or completely neglected him. As a result, he began to keep to himself, spending time in his room, praying for his family, and mourning his own misery. He also spent time walking alone in the fields, reading and praying. This went on for several days. One day, as he was walking in the field, deeply troubled and reading his book, he cried out once again, "What must I do to be saved?" He looked around as if he wanted to run, but stood still because he didn't know which way to go. Then I saw a man named Evangelist coming towards him. Evangelist asked, "Why are you crying?" The man replied, "Sir, I have read in this book that I am condemned to die and face judgment, and I am not ready for either." Evangelist then asked, "Why are you not ready to die, considering how hard this life is?" The man answered, "I am afraid this burden on my back will cause me to fall into an even worse place, a pit of destruction. I'm not ready to face judgment, and these fears make me cry." Evangelist said, "If this is your condition, why are you standing still?" The man replied, "Because I don't know where to go." The evangelist handed him a parchment that said, "Flee from the coming wrath." The man read it, and looking carefully at Evangelist asked, "Where should I go?" Evangelist pointed across the wide field, asking, "Do you see that narrow gate over there?" The man replied, "No." Evangelist asked, "Do you see a shining light?" The man said, "I think I do." Evangelist then instructed, "Keep that light in your view and head straight for it. Once you get to the gate, knock, and it will be told what you must do." So I saw in my dream that the man began to run. Often we try to handle our burdens alone, but the only way to find true freedom is by keeping our eyes on the light and trusting the direction that God gives us. This story teaches us that our identity in Christ begins when we acknowledge our need and follow His lead, even when it means leaving everything familiar behind. Seek the kingdom and let God lift the burden you were never meant to carry.